All right, how we doing today, folks? Welcome to Miovision's inaugural. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome to Miovision's inaugural Envision Live. My name is Matt. We're coming to you live from Catalyst 137, the world's largest Internet of Things campus in Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. Benefit for you people at home, you did not have to brave a snowstorm to get here today. Lucky you. And you guys all did a good job getting here today. I'm very proud of you. So I've heard there have been a lot of great conversations this week, lots of great discussions between customers, partners, and people in the industry about traffic. That's what we're going to talk about today, except we're going to compress everything down to about half an hour with three phenomenal presenters. And of course, like I said earlier, please share this online. If you know someone who might dig what you're watching, share the link, let people watch, and I might have a little contest thing going on at the end that you might want to know about. But maybe we'll start the show. We ready to start the show? Ready for some presenters? Ready to learn? Yeah, you guys are doing good. I like this. All right, our first presenter, the co-founder and CEO of Miovision. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Curtis McBride.
So welcome to Envision. Appreciate you guys taking some time to come and join us. I want to start out by telling you guys a bit of a story. One of my first jobs when I was a student was sitting at the side of the road in a lawn chair counting cars in the baking hot sun in July. You wouldn't know that we have baking hot sun in Canada, having come here today, but we do. And there was one clear advantage of this method of data collection, and it was that whatever I could see, I could count. But there were a lot of drawbacks as well to this method. For example, students need to take bathroom breaks. They need to go home and go to sleep. And if you wanted to collect data for more than a few hours at a time, it was basically impossible. If you wanted to collect data from lots of different locations, you needed an army of students to go out and do it, and they weren't always available. And if I'm being honest, the quality of the data that I was generating after a long, hot day in July wasn't always the best. And the impact that would have on the downstream traffic engineering efforts was sometimes significant. So one of these long days in July, I got to thinking, there's got to be a better way to do this. If data is at the core of making traffic better, and the industry really needs tools with the flexibility of the human eye that are also scalable, affordable, and verifiably accurate. Those of you who know me well, and even those who barely know me, know that I'm a big fan of Elon Musk. One of my favorite quotes that he repeats over and over again is that when you're designing a product, you should always do it from first principles, not from analogy or convention. And so when we founded Miovision, it was largely based on this first principle that we had learned sitting at the side of the road counting cars. And that was that you have to use high-quality data to improve transportation networks. When you're generating data, you want to do it with sensors that can measure whatever they're seeing. And you have to build products that are scalable, affordable, and verifiably accurate. And to this day, those principles drive the Miovision team and sort of inspire us to build the great products that we build. When we first started Miovision, we had to pick a data collection technology, and we looked at a lot of different ones. We looked at LiDAR, we looked at radar, we looked at Bluetooth, and we looked at video. And when we compared those different technologies to the vision that we had, the principles that we had, we picked video. And the reason we did was because it was the only technology that could measure what it saw, and it was verifiably accurate, right? A person can look at video and can see what they see the same way that the video can see what it sees. So we picked video. It wasn't, at the time, the easiest decision to make, though, because out of all the technologies, it required the most processing power and the most bandwidth. And when you go back 15 years ago when we started the business, the existing processing power and bandwidth created big constraints to working with video. But we believed, given the nature of technology, that the passage of time would fix these problems and that we would eventually do away with limits on processing and bandwidth. Fast forward to today, Miovision has processed over 23 million hours of video and has counted over 9 billion vehicles. In addition, the technology has actually advanced now to the point where processing power and bandwidth are no longer constraints to working with video. And as you're going to see coming up shortly, as a consequence of all of that, we've managed to unlock the ability to generate continuous data, continuous multimodal data from intersections in our cities. And this brings me to why we're here, like why Envision. The challenge facing our global transportation networks is large. And from the time that we started the company, we've always known that we can't solve these challenges by ourselves. The problems are just too big. Envision 2020 is the first of what's going to be an annual partner and customer event for Miovision. So thank you again for coming out to the very first one. And it's an opportunity for partners and customers to come together, share ideas, learn from one another, and collaborate. We believe that the size and strength of this ecosystem that we will continue to grow year over year is the thing that's going to ultimately allow us to tackle the huge transportation problems that plague our cities today. We believe that multimodal data is really going to be at the core of the future of our industry. And we think that products that can measure what they see are going to be the cornerstone of that future. So let's stop right now and watch a quick video to see how our streets are changing.
Can you spot the difference between these two shots? You guessed it, there's more than just cars. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm more of a complete streets kind of guy. With Miovision's permanent multimodal traffic data collection, you can measure more than cars and design roads for everything using them. Do you hear that, cars? It's not all about you anymore. Oh man, this is bogus!
So apparently, in addition to autonomous cars, talking cars are also coming. A few years ago, a guy named Jesse Coleman from the City of Toronto approached us with a unique transportation planning objective that the city had. The city wanted to eliminate through movements from a major arterial in downtown Toronto. For those that know Toronto, King Street. And they wanted to do that basically by making it only possible to turn left and right anywhere on King Street, to push cars off of King. And they wanted to do that to increase the capacity of King Street to handle pedestrian, cyclists, and transit vehicles. And as you can imagine, this was a pretty politically charged proposal, right? We're going to basically take an already congested downtown core, and we're going to take all the cars off a major arterial in the downtown. So Toronto rather wisely identified that they needed to collect data in order to be able to address any concerns that might come in from critics. So they identified 32 intersections where they wanted to collect data along the main King Street corridor, as well as the corridors that were adjacent to King Street. And rather than collecting data the traditional way, going out with a college student, collecting for maybe a day before, make a change, and the day after, they decided that they wanted to collect data for months before and for months afterwards, and really see not only how things changed once people had embraced the new planning regime, but how long it took and what kinds of behaviors we saw as people adjusted. The intersection that you see behind us here is one of the 32 intersections that we deployed. And as well as it's performing today and in this video, and it's still up doing this every day, all day in Toronto, when we first installed it, that was not the case. There was an overwhelming number of pedestrians and cyclists in the video, something that our system had never really encountered before. And the nice thing, if we go back to the principles, the nice thing about picking video when we did was that we could visually see that it was not performing to the standard that we want. It was not accurate enough for the city and not accurate enough for us. And the other nice thing about the way we've built our technology is we can actually teach the system to increase its performance as it encounters new situations. And that's exactly what we did in Toronto. Worked with them to continue to improve the system to the point where it now does what you're seeing on the screen right now. And the great thing is, once we did this for Toronto, because of the way our system is architected, this technology gets deployed to every single one of our intersections. So not that this much pedestrian traffic is going to be the common case in every intersection that we go into, but that algorithm is now running on every single one of our devices, and everyone gets to benefit from the work that was done in Toronto and with Toronto. Over the course of the project, Toronto saw a significant increase in the amount of pedestrian traffic that was able to use King Street. In the intersection that we were watching there's about 40,000 pedestrians a day that go through there with, as you'd expect, with predictable AM and PM peaks as people are going to and from work. And when this data was combined with the data from the other 31 intersections that they deployed, they were able to confidently conclude that the planning objective that they had by making this change had been successful, and what started out as a pilot became a permanent fixture of the downtown core. They were also able, with this data, to respond to critics who were upset that less vehicles could go down King Street and show that the vehicles had moved to the adjacent corridors with very little impact on traffic and travel time. Another Elon Musk reference. This project was really critical to Toronto, both from a public safety perspective and from a political priority perspective. Accuracy, as is important when you're trying to land a barge in the middle of the or land a rocket on a barge in the middle of the ocean. Accuracy was really important. If the accuracy of the data that we were generating wasn't to a high enough standard, not only would the planning policy decision have been at risk, but so too would vulnerable road users. We believe that accuracy is not something that you can solve with marketing taglines. We believe that accuracy needs to be relentlessly addressed as a data science problem. We believe that vendors such as ourselves need to be held to a very high standard about the accuracy claims that they make, which is why we are really proud to launch today a new white paper that outlines in detail how we measure and improve accuracy in our video detection product. We hope that this white paper can be used by our customers to hold us accountable for the accuracy claims that we make, but we also hope that it can be used by the customers to help them understand how to ask the right questions of other vendors so that they can also hold those vendors accountable for the accuracy claims that they make. Many of you have likely heard of TURL. TURL is the Florida Department of Transportation's test lab where they test all sorts of new different traffic products. They have something called the TURL score, which they use anytime a new detection product wants to come to market and has to go through the approved product list process, or APL, as some of you might know it. They test a detection system against this TURL score. So the other thing that we're really excited to announce today is that for every installation that we do, we're going to be able to generate a TURL score output for that deployment. So whether you're testing a product in a lab, or whether you're putting it into an operational environment like a blizzard in Canada or a thick fog storm in Knoxville, you can actually generate the same kind of output that TURL uses to approve products. And in doing so, we can prove that our product is verifiably and audibly accurate in the environments that it actually operates in. We hope that with this, with the launch of this white paper and with our commitment to accuracy, that the era of black boxes that cannot actually tell you how they're performing is over, and the era of transparency around accuracy has finally arrived. To download the white paper, you can go to miovision.com/envision, or you can talk to any Miovision representative who can point it to you. Thank you very much, and please join me in welcoming the next two speakers that are coming soon.
Show some love for Curtis McBride. That was amazing. I can personally attest to that. King Street corridor is a game changer. That's really cool. King Street's vastly different now. Head of Revenue Tim Lavella is coming up in just a second, but here's another video with me that's not weird at all.
Look, it's a guy on an electric scooter. And another one on the sidewalk. And another one in the bike lane. I don't know about you, but I like to be in the know. With the Scout's e-scooter pedestrian classification, you'll know how e-scooters are used on your infrastructure, which helps you make it safer. That one's on top of a bus. That seems unlikely.
Thank you. That could have gone horribly wrong. So e-scooters have arrived. Our friends here at NACDO tell us that in the year 2018 alone, over 38 million trips were taken in the United States. Now, e-scooter usage is not unique to the United States either. We're starting to see deployments pop up across Canada, Europe, and Australia. E-scooters have gone from fad to phenomenon. So why is this category exploding? Well, both supply and demand are growing. Supply is being driven by innovative tech-styled companies who are building great hardware and really innovative user applications. They're typically heavy venture funded, which enables them to build, manufacture, and deploy rapidly across the world. Demand is being driven by users like you and I. We love the convenience of easily locating these in cities everywhere around the world. They're cheap at around $7 a ride. They're affordable for everyone. They're sometimes fun. And they're an environmentally friendly alternative to traditional vehicle rideshare programs. So e-scooters are solving a very real-world problem today called first and last mile transportation, and they're here to stay. So e-scooters are important, they're fun, but they're not without challenges. So we all know somebody who has a friend of a friend, that's had an incident or an accident on an e-scooter. And to make this a bit less academic, we wanted to bring in a personal story. We're grateful that a colleague here at Miovision has allowed us to share his story with the rest of you so that we can bring this close to home. So to protect the identity of this individual, we're going to nickname him David. And I'm going to share David's story with you. So David is like some of us here in the audience. David travels for work. He ends up in cities that are not his own. And in this particular case, David's in Washington, D.C. at a work event, and they're out for dinner, and customers, partners, some colleagues, maybe some people in the audience were there. The event is successful, it's over. David finds himself out on the sidewalk and has a last-mile transportation decision to make. How do I get back to my hotel? So there's options. David could walk somewhere between 0 and 2 miles to a hotel. This might seem reasonable. It's a foreign city, maybe the roads are unknown, it's a little later at night, maybe not the best option. David could use a ride-sharing application, but there's 5, 6, 7 people. They don't want to break up the band. So David and team are on the sidewalk. They look 100 feet to the right, 100 feet to the left, and what do they see? Clusters of e-scooters, right? Practically begging them, come on over, let's go for a ride. So David, strong, competent, physically fit individual, goes over, taps the phone on the e-scooter, gets ready to ride, and this should be a very straightforward transaction. 4 minutes to the hotel, in bed, 8.5 hours sleep. But instead, 32 minutes later, David's in the emergency room at a hospital in Washington, D.C., having a conversation with a very nice doctor who, it turns out, he himself broke his foot 4 weeks ago on an e-scooter in Dallas. So the data is showing that David's not alone. Now, David's okay, to be clear. He walked away with a few stitches, hard conversation with his wife, but things are okay. Our friends in the city of Austin decided to team up with a great institution called the CDC, which is the Center for Disease and Control. They wanted to study the incident rate of e-scooters relative to other modalities. And so what they found was that for every 100,000 e-scooter trips taken, 20 of them resulted in an injury that required medical attention. Half were injuries to the head, and an astonishing 15% were considered traumatic brain injuries. Now, when they contrasted that to cycling and walking, the math suggests that you were 13 times more likely to get injured on an e-scooter than biking, and 100 times more than walking. So you have this conundrum. Supply is growing, demand is surging, cities everywhere are advocating for their residents to adopt micromobility options, and injuries are skyrocketing. Meanwhile, traffic and planning professionals are getting overwhelmed. Until now, there have been no viable data or analytics tools to help them understand usage patterns within their cities. And this was Atlanta's challenge. So Atlanta's awesome. Big entertainment, big sports town, big personalities, and as it turns out, one of the biggest deployments of e-scooters in the entire US South. There are over 10,000 registered units in the downtown core alone. However, in 2018, Atlanta suffered 4 tragic e-scooter-related deaths. So the mayor announced a $5 million 2-year initiative to study and implement safety options for vulnerable road users. The Midtown Alliance, which is this pretty cool coalition of local business owners, along with government agency employees, got together and enlisted Miovision to help with their pilot, which was a pop-up protected section of downtown corridor that was deemed problematic and dangerous. So using scouts to collect video and data link to deliver the world-class reporting that it does, the Alliance was able to study how cyclists, pedestrians, and e-scooters were interacting on the roads, which enabled the city planners to successfully mount a business case for designated permanent protected status along the corridor. Countless future lives were saved. Miovision has a world-class reputation for helping traffic and planning professionals solve very hard emerging mobility issues. For 12 years, Scout and DataLink have counted, classified, and provided data points on almost 8 billion unique vehicle pedestrians and cyclists, which is second to none. So today I'm pleased to announce that e-scooters are now available in beta as a custom classification type on Scout, which means that cities like yours everywhere can begin to study, plan, and deploy safer infrastructure for all road users. To learn more, please join us for a webinar on March 25th, where one lucky participant will get to ride home on my very own custom Miovision e-scooter and helmet. You're also welcome to visit us at miovision.com/envision to get started right away. I'm Tim Lavelle. Thanks for listening.
Give it up one more time for Tim Lavelle as he scoots out of here on a scooter that you yourself can win. I might even They're a lot of fun. I don't know if you've been on those, but they're a lot of fun. Aaron Skimpson, Miovision's, oh, Screechy, that's Tim. Can't see it on the video probably. Miovision's VP of Product Management and Corporate Programs. Aaron Skimpson's going to come up in just a second to announce something absolutely transforming. I can't wait for you to hear about this. But first, another weird video with me.
This is a pedestrian disobeying a walk sign, and this is a driver running a red light. Now, I don't know about you, but I like preventing accidents before they happen. That's why Miovision is introducing safety analytics to TrafficLink. Make intersections safer by seeing if people are disobeying walk signs or running red lights. Whoa, thanks for saving my life. Oh, don't mention it.
Good afternoon. It's great to be here. So recently, I was in Washington, D.C. It's clearly a city where a lot of excitement happens for Miovision. I was at a conference, and I'd stepped out of the conference to cross the road. I was with some colleagues, and like good, compliant pedestrians, there was a red, so we were waiting for the light to cross. We were astonished when a taxi in the lane next to us started to move through the intersection on a red light. Now, I should mention we were at the Transportation Research Board conference where innovative traffic solutions are being applied to improve safety. Clearly, the taxi driver was not in attendance. Anyway, at this intersection, thank goodness, Kevin Gibbs, who's a traffic control officer, was located there. So Kevin, in his orange safety vest, is located at this intersection to help escort pedestrians, bikes, e-scooters, and vehicles safely through the intersection. But Kevin courageously had to position himself in front of this taxi and say, dude, man, like, it's red, you can't go. And the taxi impatiently is saying, well, I clearly am more important. I have somewhere I have to be. Kevin said, yeah, you can go around the corner to the right or stop, just like the law says. And the impatient taxi driver kept trying to get through. Eventually, the taxi driver conceded the right turn, and off he went. But amazingly, only because somebody was physically barring him from breaking the law. So the thing is, impatient people make terrible decisions. And this was a humorous end, sort of, to a potentially really dangerous situation. Unfortunately, this is not often the outcome. In North America, 45,000 people die every year on the road. This is the equivalent of a 737 crashing every day and a half. If this stat existed in any other industry, the industry would shut down. These tens of thousands of people that are being injured and killed on the roads are our friends and our family. They're our colleagues and they're our neighbors. These so-called accidents are actually collisions that should and could be prevented. Vision Zero is an important strategy that aims to eliminate road deaths and serious injury. The Vision Zero network says that cities that are committed to zero death or serious injury need to be collecting, analyzing, and using data to understand trends and the potential disproportionate impact of traffic deaths on certain populations. In other words, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. This is not an easy task, though. The United Nations tell us there are 3 million people moving to cities on an annual basis, on a weekly basis. This means that the job of managing the efficient movement and safe movement of people and goods through a city is incredibly complex. The safety and livability of our growing urban spaces is increasingly dependent on data-driven management of public infrastructure and the ability for feedback loops to tell us how do we continue to manage changing needs of mobility. I am so proud to work for a company that exists to provide multimodal data and tools so that communities can continue to improve safe and efficient movement for their population. So let's talk about Amherst. Amherst is in a city in New York, and Brian Kolpa, who's the town supervisor, in an interview said, anybody who comes to Amherst talks about the traffic in Amherst, but we don't want to be known as a town with a traffic problem. Frankly, I don't think any of us have customers who are towns that want to be known for their traffic problems. But Amherst has done something really unique. They have undertaken an initiative to try to protect the most vulnerable road users in their community. And they've done this, they've used Miovision Safety Analytics as a way to start to observe what's happening in the network. So Chris Schregel is a traffic safety coordinator in Amherst. And he said to me when they deployed Miovision pedestrian compliance measures, he started to identify very quickly an intersection that had a high vulnerability for a population. This was an intersection located close to a college where pedestrians were not being compliant, but this behavior was driving a really high risk for this vulnerable population. And so this data that was collected through Miovision the pedestrian compliance was provided to the engineer, who then has created a recommendation to improve the safety there. Chris said to me, once that application is deployed, they will continue to use the observation to know that, in fact, is this a safer intersection for this population as those needs change, but also to protect Amherst's reputation as a city that has great traffic. Today, Miovision is pleased to announce the launch of our safety analytics platform. What we're launching today is red light running and pedestrian compliance reports that can help any city not be known for their traffic problems. Red light running is scary. 1/4 of deaths at signalized intersections are caused because a driver runs through a red light. In 2017, World Health Organization reported that in the United States, red light running was at a 10-year high, causing almost 1,000 deaths. So with Miovision's red light running reports, cities are now able to identify and understand where these events are happening in their city. The ability to recall video and actually watch what's happening in real time indicates the behaviors that need to change, the countermeasures that need to be applied in order to make this better. Again, measuring this makes cities able to manage it better. Occasionally in life, you get to do something that feels really important, and today is one of those things. I'm very excited to announce a world first. Nobody else offers this. These pedestrian compliance reports that help cities identify and understand where and how to serve our most vulnerable road users. Pedestrian compliance metrics are kind of like red light running, but for pedestrians. So traditionally, roads have been designed in order to serve motorized vehicles, which means other road users, like pedestrians, really aren't prioritized. I don't know about you, but if I'm at an intersection and I have to wait more than about a minute, I'm going to Frogger my way across. Impatient people do make bad decisions. The unfortunate piece of this is it's a potentially fatal move. Vulnerable road users make up more than half of road deaths in the year. And what we're seeing worldwide is that for both pedestrians and bicycles, fatalities are going up. Curtis mentioned earlier that we start from first principles at Miovision, that we think about how do we design technologies that really can measure everything that it sees in the market. And I will tell you, the application of these technologies that we started many, many years ago to such important problems is absolutely what the mission of this company is and what it's all about. Today, traffic link safety analytics provide tools to understand and quantify for both pedestrians and for drivers what's happening at an intersection before collisions occur. But this is only the beginning. I will be excited to arrive later in the year to announce more about Miovision's traffic safety analytics program. To learn more about red light running or pedestrian compliance, I invite you to join us at a webinar coming up on April 22nd. You could also speak to one of your Miovision sales representatives, or please visit us at miovision.com/envision. Thank you.
Aaron Skimson, everybody, show some love to all the presenters. Wow, it's a game changer. Okay, well, we're almost done, but I do have one more thing to announce. Today, for everyone watching online, everyone here in the crowd, we're giving away a zero-cost pilot to one city who wants to solve all the problems that we talked about today. So if you're struggling with safety, e-scooters, data, congestion, or any other traffic problems, we want to know. So on your screens there, there'll be a little link to submit below. Submit your problem. For all you today, you go online, you watch the video, and you'll see a little link underneath it. And we'll pick a winner that'll be announced during our follow-up webinar series, so sign up for those. And, of course, share the live stream as well to anyone you know that might like this. The video will be online for, well, forever. It's online, so that's how it works. And, yeah, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next year. And until then, of course, we want to help solve your traffic problems. Go to miovision.com/envision, and let's talk. Thank you.